as a sex offender.
It's a controversial religious group that's often referred to as a cult, the House of Yahweh. Some claim members are urged by its leader to practice polygamy and child slavery in their small, closed community near Eula. In this KTXS special report, Jennifer Kendall takes you inside the very private religious practices of the House of Yahweh.
In the highly guarded, quiet community of Eula, down a private road and behind a huge gate, there's a group of people who believe their compound is the only place that will survive the apocalypse.
Will to those who have rejected the only message of warning.
You can see bodies being torn apart.
House of Yahweh members follow the word of their leader,
The great Kohan Yisrayl Hawkins!
and believe in Yahweh's laws, all 613 of them. Kay Hawkins met and married Buffalo Bill Hawkins long before he changed his name to Yisrayl Hawkins and took over the House of Yahweh. After Buffalo Bill was suspended from the Abilene Police Department and chose to resign, he was ordained an elder in the House of Yahweh. The sect was founded by Bill's brother J.G. Hawkins in Odessa, Texas. Bill changed his name to Yisrayl in 1980 and started the House of Yahweh in Abilene. When the religion developed a large following, a second campus was created in Eula. After years of working with Yisrayl, Kay Hawkins was told she was not the leader's only wife.
And on July 24th, 1993, Keith Arsamont gave the sermon that polygamy was now a law in the House of Yahweh.
Kay says that's when Yisrayl ruined what could have been an honorable religion.
He builds something up, and then one way or another, he will destroy it. He built up the House of Yahweh, then he destroyed it by making it become a polygamous doomsday slave compound.
After polygamy was encouraged, Kay chose to leave the compound.
They arrested the Savior, too.
In 2008, Yisrayl Hawkins was arrested and charged with bigamy and child labor violations. 2 different birth certificates of children born at the House of Yahweh had Yisrayl listed as the child's father. But the bigamy charges were dropped after members said they had no knowledge of Yisrael's supposed multiple wives. Kay says that could be because of a wedding ceremony vow that attendees are forced to sign.
I will deny that any event ever took place.
Yisrayl is still on probation after pleading guilty to child labor violations. The same year, Yedidiah Hawkins, an elder in the church, was convicted of another crime involving a child and sentenced to 30 years in prison.
My client experienced sexual abuse almost the entire time that she was at the House of Yahweh. As far back as she can remember, she was being sexually exploited by her stepfather. And we've developed evidence that the House of Yahweh elders knew that this was going on.
A civil case charging Yisrayl with failure to report the sexual abuse of a minor is set for trial in March. Brian Butcher, the young female's lawyer, says this was Yisrael's response.
They think that her stepfather, who's in prison for what he did to her, was wrongfully convicted and that he's some sort of a martyr. She's been exploited, and I think she feels like the House of Yahweh knew it was happening. They let her down. They should have protected her, and that's something that she struggles with.
We tried to contact Yisrayl and some of his followers several times.
He would love to talk, but he has not a moment.
I've never had any problem, but I mean, you know, like I said, I've been a member over 20 years.
Butcher says after talking to dozens of former and current House of Yahweh members, he's learned that the practice of marrying minor females to elder males is common.
I think there are members within the House of Yahweh who are exploited financially, emotionally, and sexually.
Kay says she often drives past the compound and thinks about those still living there.
Those poor people, they are prisoners, and they don't even know it.
They become financially dependent. When everything that you have is tied up within, a cult, it's hard to get out of the cult.
They are advised, if they leave the House of Yahweh, they are doomed to burn in hell.
That's why Kay spent 17 years writing this book to help herself heal and reach out to former House of Yahweh members.
It was as though I had been confined in a concentration camp against my will. If you have someone who understands and you have someone to say, I know exactly how you feel, that is a powerful validation. Because people who have never been through something like this have no idea. It's a different world.